Thank you so much. I want to say for the record that being a member of the National League of Cities and the U.S. Conference of Mayors, I really do appreciate and thank you for being here, and the counties and the other speakers. Mr. Butler, I do want to say I too welcome a conversation about the states and the EPA interaction. Many of you know I represent the state of Michigan and lived through a horrific example of a failure of connection and checks and balances when it comes to water infrastructure. And when we talk about this, and we have to talk about the dollars. Water is a basic human need, and we have to treat it as such. It is not a luxury, and our investment in our water infrastructure is something we've kicked down the road. And I pray to God we never have another Flint situation, but that should have been our awakening. 9,000 children are still suffering.
To be additional federal and state dollars to assist what local utilities and local governments are able to generate as revenue on their own, because what the locals can generate on their own is not going to be sufficient. Third, there's a need to make sure that when local revenue is generated, because additional local revenue is also needed. Exactly. That when that local revenue is generated, it's done so in a fair and equitable way that does not place undue burdens on low-income households. Okay. And there are ways to do that. There are ways that Congress can help do that. There are ways that states can help do that. There are ways that locals can. And this is an issue. Affordability of water is becoming an issue in America that is very concerning, and that issue must resonate to a level of high priority. Mayor Dupree, thank you for your support of the Water Quality Protection and Job Creation Act, a bill that will authorize the Clean Water at $20 billion over 5 years. I'm proud to be a co-sponsor of this legislation and happy to say every Democratic member of the subcommittee supports this legislation. Can you describe how important it is for Congress to take action on this legislation?
Thank you for the question, Ms. Lawrence. You know, just in Hattiesburg alone, we have a $150 million project on wastewater, probably $46 or $45 million it has to do with sanitary sewer overflows. And then we have water quality. We have not lead pipes, but we have asbestos, concrete asbestos lined pipes that probably going to be $50 million. So we're talking about $200 to $300 million of projects. And part of my community is 37% below the poverty line or at the poverty line. Wow. There's no way, there's a breaking point where you cannot afford to do any more than what you're doing. We spent about $45 million in bonds already to try to solve the problem. That's about as far as we can go. That's why we're all up here. Affordability is one of the problems, and having help is one of becoming I almost said co-conspirators, becoming co-partners in what we're trying to do, and that's to provide quality of life, health for people that we represent, economic development for people we represent. Without the bill that you've sponsored, I don't think we could get, and it's just a start. It's just a start. But it's a great start. If we could get that bill started, I think it'll help not only cities like Hattiesburg, but cities across the United States.
Thank you. In my time that's left, I just want to make sure that I put on the record that the investment in our water infrastructure should be a priority based on the fact it is a basic human need and based on the fact of the environment, and we cannot reproduce our water source. And the fact that we have lived through a documented demonstration, I'm sad to hear about the asbestos in the water. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to drink water. And if you're poor and the only source of water is from what you turn on in your faucet, you are subjected. You are subjected to that. And as we talk about infrastructure and the dollar in legislation, water should elevate to be a priority in our investment. Thank you, and I yield back.